Alright everyone, welcome to Monday's video. We're at the start of a brand new week and I hope you're all well and raring to go for the new week. Good result at the weekend, good performance as well. Plenty to be positive about on the pitch as we beat DC United 4-0. I'll discuss that a little bit today. And also some Brendan Rodgers quotes that are pretty fresh. They dropped late last night for you. There's a chance if you're up nice and early and you went to bed nice and early that you've not even seen them. And he kind of shed some light on plenty of things. We're going to rattle through those comments today and just kind of update you with what is going on at Celtic right now, even transfer-wise, which may not take quite as long. Yeah, pretty enjoyable outing on late Saturday night against DC United. A 4-0 victory for us. Probably not a result that many people saw coming, given that they were midway through their league season and we are very much at the start of ours. But I thought the team played really well and we scored 4 goals but could have scored far more than that. On a pitch that wasn't the best, I think it's fair to say. I don't think Brendan Rodgers was massively happy with the playing surface at Audi Field, but I thought we got on with it and showed some real quality at times as well. Nicholas Kuhn's pass for the second goal where Kyogo sees his shot blocked and then Matt O'Reilly finishes. The first 2 goals were kind of similar. Matt O'Reilly following up and finishing really confidently. He even kind of did the same celebration for each of them. James Forrest as well in the second half obviously came on, and you've probably seen the clip of him for the third goal where he drives at the defender and crosses it for Mikey Johnson, who should have had more than 1 goal. Missed a penalty, missed a great chance earlier than that as well. But I thought generally we showed quality in the match. I just said quality like really weirdly there. It was like Steve Clark, quality, as Steve Clark would say. Anyway, I thought we were really good. And as I say, at this stage of pre-season with, still a kind of relatively second string, squad of players over the course of the match, I thought it was pretty good, and we got some minutes into the Scottish guys who came on for the last half an hour. James Forrest, Cal McGregor, of course, Anthony Ralston, Greg Taylor. We saw Sinizalo making his debut. He played 45 minutes, kept a clean sheet alongside Scott Bain, and we got some youngsters out as well. Donovan featured right back, Anderson left back, Dane Murray came on, a number of other young players like Bosun Lawal got game time as well. And I know Brendan Rodgers was keen to point out the fact that we were up against a team who are midway through their season, and he felt that the fact that they were much sharper than us, or in theory should have been, it didn't really look like it, meant that our players really had to push themselves. So I think that's the advantages of playing against a team who are kind of in the middle of their season. You really have to push yourself and force yourself into some sort of fitness. So I think it was a really beneficial match, and obviously for the Celtic fans who were kind of spread out all across the stadium, great numbers, got to see a pretty good performance and 4 goals, pretty humid conditions as well. So I can't really pick any faults on Saturday night. I think it's encouraging that the team are scoring goals at the moment. Yes, it's only pre-season. I know DC United weren't up to much, but that is 10 goals in our past couple of matches. We kept a clean sheet as well. I guess we're going to get a far sterner test over the next couple of matches against Manchester City and Chelsea. Those are really the matches that are going to get us going for the new season. I think we're going to see pretty full strength teams for both of those games. Should have some players coming back as well at that stage. I think on the pitch right now things are looking pretty good. Of course, you're always kind of worried about going a bit overboard in pre-season, because we'll all remember great pre-seasons Celtic have had, like, what would it have been, 2009 would it have been, the Tony Mowbray one where we won the Wembley Cup, etc. battered Spurs with a second string 11, and then went into the season and had an absolute shocker. And we'll all remember years as well where pre-season has been very forgettable, extremely forgettable, but we've gone on to have great seasons. So I think you're always worried about maybe seeming like another team's supporter and getting all hyped up just because of a couple of pre-season results only to fall flat on your face. But I think the reality is this Celtic team look good at the moment. They're confident. We'll see how the next couple of games go, and then we're into Kilmarnock in less than 2 weeks now before our league opener. A bit concerning, you'd probably agree, that we've not signed an outfielder yet. So yeah, let's bring on the Brendan Rodgers comments. Now, as I say, these quotes came out late last night for you lot, so very fresh. There's a chance you've not even heard them yet. They've been reported by a number of outlets, including the Daily Record, who I'm taking them from here. Now, the first thing that Brendan Rodgers has confirmed is that Ben Siegrist will be leaving the club. He's heading to Rapid Bucharest, who are managed by our former manager, captain and hero Neil Lennon. So a good move for Ben Siegrist. I kind of expected him to move out here to Australia. His girlfriend's from Sydney, I believe, but he's going to Romania. I'm not sure if it's kind of permanent or a loan transfer. I guess it doesn't really matter. Ben Siegrist is going to be leaving. Rodgers said it's fair to say that with Benji, he'll be looking to move on. He's been a really professional guy. He'd done well at United and come into Celtic and maybe wanted to play more when he didn't. And I can only speak for my year with him. He was exemplary. Just pretend I said that last word perfectly there. He's clearly not going to feature this season. He's our fourth choice goalkeeper at the moment, behind Schmeichel, Sinizalo, Bain. So we can absolutely afford for Ben Siegrist to go, and I guess we wish him all the best going forward. So as I say, we have 3 first team goalkeepers if he moves on. I think that's a good situation. I think the club deserve credit for the goalkeeper situation and the way they've dealt with that this summer. Just want to get that in there before I'm less complimentary about their transfer stuff later in the video. So 3 first team goalkeepers. Brendan Rodgers also hoping for 3 first team forwards. Very exciting. There's a catch. I think my ideal scenario was to have 3. Was to have Kyogo, one other one, and bring through a young player. That was the role we came up for Rocco. It's very difficult for a club of this size to have 3 number 1 strikers. You can live with 2 because we play so many games and the specific nature of the games, then we can change it about. 3 is very difficult, but I also think for development I want to bring some young, maybe a player from within. Rocco was that, but he's moved on, so we may have to look elsewhere. But 3 is a really good number. 2, I would say, to be number 1 strikers and 1 that we can nurture and develop. I think people would love 3, real top strikers, kind of like we had when we had Griffiths, Edward and Dembele at the same time. I think for 1 season that would have been. Obviously Brendan Rodgers was the manager at that stage. I'm guessing from what he's saying here that that's kind of what he was talking about, that he felt that didn't really work at that time, and I'm very much of the belief that given that we only play 1 striker at a time for 99% of the season, I think you're fine to have 2. I think, and I'm talking about kind of 2 top strikers here. So say, for example, it was Kyogo, Ida, and people have said they want Miovski as well. I think you would struggle to kind of have those 3 up top and make that work. Because we know in the past, I mean, Georgios Giacomakis left the club for a few reasons, but I think one of the reasons was he wasn't getting enough game time, and he was a second choice striker. So imagine what would happen to a third choice striker with kind of lofty ambitions. So I get totally what Brendan Rodgers is saying here. I think that his idea of having 2 number 1 strikers, which I think is an interesting quote, by the way. I think that if we do bring Adam Ida in, Rodgers will be viewing those 2 as equals, Ida and Kyogo, which I think is interesting. And then ideally your kind of third option would be a younger player. Now the difficulty is, do we have that player on our books right now, or do we have to go out and sign a third striker? Rodgers and the club clearly felt that Rocco Vata could play that role. That obviously didn't work out. So I was looking at the B team, for example, and I mean, Joey Dawson would be the obvious one that would spring out. I would have my doubts that he could be a third choice striker for us. I don't think he's really at that level without having seen him a hell of a lot. I wondered if Johnny Kenny would kind of fit that mould, and I kind of got thinking that could work. Obviously, he's not even at the club at the moment. He's out on loan at Shamrock Rovers, so clearly at some point in the past, the idea of Johnny Kenny being a third choice striker wasn't palatable to the manager or whoever, and that's the reason he's not even at the club at the moment. So do we have to sign a third choice striker? And if we do, what does that third choice striker look like? Is it someone like Odsonne Edouard that initially comes in on loan with a view to them being a leading player for you in 2 to 3 years? Maybe something like we're doing with Sinizalo. I mean, if he's happy to come in and work under someone like Kasper Schmeichel and eventually become our number one, which I think we all feel is the plan, could we not do something similar with a forward? Sign a young player with potential who maybe doesn't have the same demands of game time as Kyogo or Ida. Bring them in, have them learn under those two for a bit, give them some game time, and then in a couple of seasons have them ready to step up. But I thought it was interesting comments from Brendan Rodgers on the idea of players coming in. He didn't exactly give me the impression that anything was imminent, which is slightly worrying. I'm really hopeful every day. We know we need to improve the squad, but in the meantime, whilst we await that, you can see the players that are here are developing well, working well, and they're playing some fantastic football at this pre-season stage. Now, over the past couple of days, we've been linked with USA and Venezia midfielder Tanner Tessman, as well as Royal Antwerp winger Michel Ange Balikwisha. I must admit, I've not seen anything of Tessman. I've seen some clips of Balikwisha, and I like the look of him. I think he looks really direct, keen to get in the end of things, score goals. He probably has that, I don't know, that kind of desire to score goals that I don't know if Kuhn or Yang do. Palma perhaps does, but to be honest, Palma's kind of desire for goal seems to come from distance, whereas it looks like Balikwisha really wants to get in the end of things. There's even been reports recently that Rodgers has spoken privately with Balikwisha. So it seems like there might be something happening with that player. But, you know, it's just one to keep an eye on at this stage. Tessman, as I say, US international, plays for Venezia. Seems to be pretty highly rated, has a number of teams after him. He's a midfielder. He's another player that's been linked. Rodgers played that chat down as gossip season yesterday. Paulo Bernardo said to be close to signing for us, but I feel like we've been hearing that for a number of weeks. And it just feels as if everything is just dragging on a bit. And that's before we even get to Adam Ida. As I said at the start of the show, like we're 13 days now away from the Kilmarnock game. And I think we would have certainly hoped as a fan base by now that we would have signed at least one outfielder. As I say, I think the club deserve credit for the goalkeeping situation. That's a clear, concise plan. 2 signings have been made. Maybe they took a little bit too long, but, you know, I think in the grand scheme of things, Schmeichel, Sinizalo, good business. We're all happy with that. But, like, what's happening with the rest of the squad? The Bernardo stuff is just dragging on a bit. Seems like that's going to happen. The Adam Ida stuff, I'm still confident he'll be a Celtic player. But it's like, why is he away playing with Norwich City? Just get him in. And that's before we even get to left back, where there has been nothing of note in terms of being linked with players. And that's a real position where we need to sign someone. And obviously centre back as well. We've had a few reports. Mepham, O'Shea, Daniliuc. But again, it's kind of gone quiet on that partner for Cameron Carter-Vickers. So, yeah, is it just that the club think they can get through these early league matches with the current squad, and then maybe come second half of August, better players will become available for us, or better deals on the players we've already mentioned will become available for us. Yeah, I think just as supporters, we would just have hoped that for once the club would have been really proactive with this stuff. And if it was players that Brendan Rodgers wanted to be signed, we would, I don't know, go and back the manager and get these players in early, settled into pre-season, and really start the season well, because I think we've got a great opportunity at the start of the season to really lay down a marker. We know the trouble that's going on at a certain other club that we don't talk about because it's not relevant to us, really. It's hilarious, but it's all about, what we do. And I just think we would have hoped for a bit more by now. I'm trying not to be too negative, because I know we're still 22nd of July. We've still got well over a month for players to come in. We've still got nearly 2 months until that first UEFA Champions League match. But we would certainly all have hoped for more than 0 outfielders being signed at this stage. And I think the club really have to push on, and they have to get these positions, these problem positions, all filled. We need a centre-back, we need a left-back, we need a midfielder, and we need 2 if Matt O'Reilly moves on. For me, we need a winger, and we need, at least 1 striker there, because we only have Kyogo at the moment. So that's the pressure that's on the club now to get this done. Brendan Rodgers still seems relatively calm, but the thing I want to avoid is Brendan Rodgers seeming calm during the window like he did last summer, and then suddenly we get a pasting from someone in the Champions League in October and he's talking about, we needed more quality in. This is your time to bring the quality in, Celtic. So get on with it, please, before me and every other supporter has no hair left. The positives are the team look good at the moment. I've been quite encouraged by the goals they're scoring. We got a clean sheet on Saturday in the first in pre-season against DC United, and they seem up for it and ready to go. And I do think, in a funny way, we are actually going to start the season really well. It's really the Champions League I'm thinking about, and just if you back the manager, I think he'll achieve something at that level. I've said it a million times. I don't think we were a million miles away last year. We just need quality in key positions. So yeah, we'll endeavour to carry on and hope for some encouraging news over the next 24 hours. And I will return tomorrow. Enjoy your Monday, everyone.